Hi guys, welcome to your yoga flow of the week. So we are going to be doing a 20-minute just about yoga flow, and we're going to walk through some different poses for yoga and just an overall sequence for you to follow each week that's going to make it super easy and really sweet on your body. So yoga is something that you can utilize for helping with your mobility and your flexibility, as well as centering yourself, bringing you to a place where you feel connected to your body and you feel like you're really taking care of yourself and getting into a quiet space. So with that said, let's get started and we'll dive in with some sun salutations. Before we dive into the movement, the big focus of yoga, like I said, is to get connected to your body and to really focus on your breathing. So that's what we're going to do, and that's where we're going to start. So what I want you to do before you do anything else is get yourself seated. So if you need to prop yourself up on blankets or a block, we'll have yoga blocks and things like that. You may do that just so that you can be in a comfortable seated position while we start. And if you are really tight in your hips, you might want to bring your legs out just so that you can have a nice straight spine and you're not curling in. So whatever you need, get yourself seated, and we're going to start with some deep breaths. So hand on your heart or down by your legs, whatever you need to get grounded and focused. So we'll take a big breath in and we'll count to 4. And we'll hold and release with a count to 4. Big breath in for a count of 4. Hold it and let out an audible exhale. And breathe in for 4. Hold it at the top and let out an audible exhale. And now that you're calm, I want you to set some type of intention for this yoga practice. Maybe that's just to get through the movements and feel better at the end. Maybe that's to de-stress or let certain things go. Maybe that's to take care of your body after a hard week of exercise and training and killing it in the new year. So take a moment and set your intention, whatever that needs to be for you. And now let's take one big cleansing breath, which is a deep inhale and an audible exhale. Bring your hands to center. And take one last deep breath. Audible exhale. Now release and flutter your eyes open. And now we will get started with some movement. So I'm going to have you roll over onto your hands and knees and start with cat-cow. And as we roll into cat-cow, you can pad your knees or just have your mat underneath you. And so you're going to let your tailbone do the guiding here. So you're going to claw the floor, have your palms flat, take a big breath in, and curl up towards the ceiling. And really it's less of an up and more of an out. So you're pushing your tailbone out and you're pushing your forehead towards the front of the room. And as you exhale, you curl under. You push your hands into the floor. Try to get a nice curve in your spine. And inhale. As you turn up, shoulder blades down the back. And exhale into cat. And keep going with your own natural inhale and exhale. Just warming up your spine, getting it ready to move. Exhale around, and you can start to make this a little bit bigger if you want. And when you exhale, you can lean back, you can rock around, do whatever you need to do that feels good for you. This is when you start getting aligned with your body. You're matching the breath with your movement. Big breath into cat, cow rather. Exhale to cat. Let's do one more of each. And then when you're ready, you're through cat, come back to neutral spine. And from here, we're going to stand up in whatever way that you need to stand up to get yourself back up. Walk to the front or center of your mat. I'll go to my center so you can see me. And we're going to take a big inhale, but before we do that, you're going to ground yourself. So you're going to try to press the ball of your foot, the inside of your foot into the ground, spread out, and touch the outside corner of your foot to the ground, your toes. Inner heel touches to the ground, outer heel. So at this point, your feet are really pressing into the floor and you feel all of it in your legs. You're starting to feel some type of like flex in your legs. And so from that place, you're gonna tuck your tailbone under, so that way everything is lit up from your hips down. And from there, you're gonna rise. And at this point, you have great posture. So take a big breath in and bring your arms up as high as they can go. And when you exhale, you're gonna spread your fingers wide and pull your elbows down, shoulder blades down your back. Should be a really great stretch across the front, and release. One more. And on the exhale, pull your hands apart, elbows apart, shoulder blades down your back, and release. Shake that off, and we'll come to the front of our mat. And now we're going to go into some sun salutations. So the first thing that we do here, and you can break this down if you need to, just try to follow what you hear. So big breath in and arms go up, feet are grounded, tailbone tucked. And you're gonna swan dive all the way down to the ground, or as far as you can go. So maybe that's your hands on your shins, maybe that's your hands on your thighs, maybe your hands are all the way to the ground, whatever you need for you. So we're gonna do a few pranams, which is essentially where you just breathe in and you come up to flat back. And then on your exhale, you breathe out and you go all the way back down to your forward fold. Breathe in, flat back. Breathe out, all the way down. And breathe in for one more. Flat back. And now we go all the way down to the ground. Now from here, if you need to bend your knees, that's completely fine. Whatever you gotta do to get your hands on the floor. Now you're gonna step back 1 foot at a time until you are in plank pose. So for your plank pose, drop your chest so that your shoulder blades squeeze together. A little bit different than if you're pushing everything up. This really gets into your core. And then tuck your tailbone under so that you're in a nice straight line. If you're shaking, that's great. And now we're gonna come all the way to the floor. From here, you're gonna either, and this goes for the whole practice, depending on your back, you can either just lift up into cobra, mini cobra, or you can lift all the way up into upward dog, which is where your knees are off the floor, your hands are just under your shoulders, and your chest is up. And then from here, you're gonna tuck your feet under, back to plank pose, and we're gonna step right up, or jump, step or jump into your forward fold. And a big breath in and out. And now on the next inhale, we're gonna come all the way up. You can put your hands on your hips, or just swan dive all the way up, reverse swan dive. Big breath in, and come up. And we're going straight back down, so breathe out. All the way down to the ground. Again, hands on the ground. Big breath in and take a step back with each foot to get to plank. From here, drop, soften between your shoulder blades. And on your next exhale, drop all the way to the ground. And we'll go either into cobra or up dog. Big breath here. Now we'll come right back to plank pose. Big breath in and step or jump. Show the jumping option to your hands. Big breath in, we'll come to flat back. And on the exhale, all the way down. Now we're gonna come up into a reverse swan dive again. Breathe in, all the way up to the top. Stretch, stretch, stretch as high as you can. And we're gonna do one more of those back down. All the way in the ground. Inhale to flat back. And exhale, hands down, walk yourself to plank. Soft in between your shoulder blades. Big breath in. And on the next exhale, drop all the way to the ground and come into upward dog or cobra. And on your next exhale, come to plank. Now either step or jump your hands up, feet to your hands. Big breath into flat back. And exhale all the way down. Big breath in, reverse swan dive up. And bring your hands down to prayer on the exhale. And now we will go into some warrior poses, which you've probably seen all across the internet. Big breath in, hands up. Spread your elbows wide, spread your hands wide as you drop down towards the ground. Big breath into flat back. Breathe out, all the way to the ground. And now we are going to take a big breath in to prepare and exhale and step your right foot back to lunge. So now we are in runner's lunge. So things to know in runner's lunge. Pull your left hip back. You can even put your hand in your left hip crease to get that back so that your legs are almost scissoring each other. It's like you're trying to lengthen your thigh bone. And your back leg is still nice and strong and straight. You don't want it to just be hanging out here limp and shaky. Get it straight, locked in. And now you should be in a good spot in your runner's lunge to drop your right heel down to the ground. It might be at 45 degrees, it might be closer to 90, it depends on your ankles. And now we're gonna take a big breath in and come up to warrior one. So with warrior one, we're gonna stay here for a few breaths. Your front thigh might get a little shaky, that quad's working. And you're scissoring your legs together. So you're gonna be feeling this in your right hip flexor. This is where it's great for after a leg day, after a full week of training. Big, big breaths here. And if your shoulders aren't super mobile, bring them down to horizontal, straighten those arms out, and then bring them up. One more big deep breath from wherever you are. Reach up high with that inhale and exhale. Come all the way down to the runner's lunge again, picking up your back heel. Now we're gonna breathe in. On the next exhale, we'll slide your foot back to plank pose. From here, we're gonna do a vinyasa. That's where you drop down to the ground like we did at the beginning. Come to upward dog or cobra, whatever works for you. Now, push yourself out of the turtle shell. Make sure that your head is nice and high, your shoulders are down. On your next exhale, tuck your toes, and instead of just going to plank, drop all the way into downward dog. This is where you're in upside down letter V. And you can try to pedal out your feet. If your calves are tight, you will now know. Push your arms out of their sockets. Try to get your butt as high as you can. And a big breath here. Now, we're gonna come to plank on your next exhale. Breathe out, soften your shoulder blades. Breathe in and come to downward dog. And now that we are in downward dog, we are gonna raise up our right leg to three-legged dog. From here, we're gonna swing our right leg all the way through to between our hands. We're gonna do the exact same thing, warrior one, on the other side. On your next breath out, swing your leg through to runner's lunge on the other side. Now, If your legs are too close together, your warrior will be harder, especially depending on your hips, your flexibility. So you can always move your back leg out a little bit if you need to, and if you need that balance. So again, pull your right hip crease back so that you're stretching out your thigh bone and you're scissoring your legs together. Your back leg is nice and strong. It's not hanging out all limp and shaky. It's nice and strong. From here, drop your back foot down, either 45 degrees or 90, whatever your hips need and your knees. Big breath in and swing your arms up. And settle in to warrior one. Again, depending on your flexibility in your arms, you might need to straighten them out horizontally and then pull them up. Whatever you need. And play with your hips. Try to keep your body upright and stretch out that back hip flexor, but make sure your front quad is still working. It should be shaking a little bit at this point. Big inhale, reach up high, and then exhale and lift your foot, come down to runner's lunge. Next breath in, pick your foot up, and come to plank. Big breath, soften between your shoulder blades, tuck your tailbone under. Next exhale, drop to downward dog. Now let's roll through one vinyasa. Usually in vinyasa flow yoga, you will do a vinyasa between every single pose. So we'll practice a little bit here. Come back to plank, soften between your shoulder blades and slowly lower down to the ground. Come to cobra or upward dog. Next inhale, tuck your toes. Exhale, drop to downward dog. Perfect. Take a couple breaths here. And now we are going to lift up our left leg again. Three-legged dog. And right now we are going to come knee to nose. So breathe out, bring your knee to your nose. Inhale, bring that leg up. Exhale, knee to nose. And if you can't do nose, do elbow, do like belly button, whatever you need. Bring it up. Exhale, knee to nose. Bring it up. And exhale, foot all the way between your hands. Now in this series, we will drop our right heel down. And instead of coming up to warrior one, we're actually going to go straight into warrior two. So you're going to have your front leg nice and strong, legs scissors together, and you're going to lift up your right arm. Windmill it all the way back until it's straight back behind you. So right now you only have your right arm up. And your legs are in warrior, nice and strong. And now you bring up your left arm, straight path from your fingertip to fingertip. Middle finger to middle finger. Make sure you're not leaning forward, make sure you're not leaning back, make sure you're nice and dropped in and centered. Now last piece. You won't be able to see this on the other side, so squeeze your shoulder blades together, drop them down your back so that you're not up by your neck. And a couple breaths here. And now we're going to reverse this warrior. So we're kind of combining a couple things here. Flip your front hand. Big breath in, and on the exhale, you're going to drop back into reverse warrior. Again, your legs are nice and strong here. Don't put too much weight on your back hand, it's just there for guidance. And reach. And your next exhale, we'll come back to warrior two. Inhale. Exhale, windmill your arms all the way down to plank pose. And now let's hit a vinyasa. So big breath in. Exhale, drop down to the ground, up to upward dog or cobra. Inhale, and on your next exhale, drop to downward facing dog. We got two sides. Let's do the other side. So your right leg is going to go up this time. Three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose. Big inhale all the way up. Exhale, knee to nose, elbow, belly button, whatever you need. One more, inhale. Exhale, knee to nose. Perfect. Inhale, leg up, and now you swing it through your hands. Get yourself into a runner's lunge, right click. Drop your back heel down. And again, get yourself set first. So now we are going to swing up into warrior two. So this time, legs are nice and strong. Swing your left arm up first. Big inhale. And settle in. Your left arm is up and back behind you. And now you will bring your right arm up to meet it. One straight line from your middle finger to your middle finger. And drop in. Here, again, so tuck your tailbone under, push your right knee out so it's not caving in like that. Torso is nice and upright. And on your next exhale, we'll drop back into reverse warrior. So flip your right hand up. And exhale, drop it back. Again, not too much pressure on your left hand, kind of let that hang. Reach back and up. Exhale, come back to warrior two. Exhale, come all the way down to plank. And let's hit a Vinyasa. Exhale, drop all the way down. Inhale up to upward dog. Next exhale, let's drop to downward facing dog. Very good, 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 good. Take a couple breaths here, rest for a moment. You know what, let's take a big breath, look up. Exhale and jump or walk your feet to your hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and reverse swan dive up. As high as you can go, and exhale into prayer. Take a moment because you're doing great. We've got one more pose to do before we hit a couple stretches. Big inhale up. And swan dive down, hips back. Head is the last thing to fall. Inhale to flat back. Exhale all the way down into plank pose. Now let's hit a Vinyasa. Breathe out. Inhale to upward dog. Exhale, tuck your toes, drop to downward dog. This time, let's float the right heel again. Inhale and exhale, swing it through. Now, this is my favorite of all the poses, all the things. So in runner's lunge, our foot is gonna stay up. You're gonna have a nice flex in your back leg. Everything is strong and steady. Big breath in. And we come right up into crescent pose. This is the best hip flexor stretch, best strengthener for your glutes, your quads, your upper body, everything. So we're gonna take some big breaths here. And then I'll give you some relief here in a second. All right, now drop your hands. Straighten out the front leg. Drop your back heel down. Now, from here, you should have some relief in your quads. So we're gonna kick your left hip out. From here, straighten out your arms or just your front arm, whatever you need. Reach as far as you can reach, but keep your legs lit up. They're pulling together, they're squeezing in. You're not just going into your sockets, you're squeezing everything in, you're reaching as far as you can, and then you drop your hand down. Maybe it's just on your thigh, maybe it's on your calf. Wherever it is, try to make sure that your upper body is still active, so I can still move my upper body right now. You don't want to be like leaning on your knee, it's not good for your knees. So, drop your hand down, press it against your leg, and now if you can, if you feel good, twist your heart up to the ceiling and raise your back arm. That's the final pose. You can come in front of your leg, behind your leg, on your leg, whatever you need. And breathe. And spin up. And now we're ever so gracefully going to come up and sink back into our leg and get ourselves to crescent. So big breath in. We're gonna do this slowly. Swing up, use your core, and now come back down. And we're basically in warrior two right now. We're gonna twist our back foot up, and we're gonna swing our arms up into crescent. Great job. Big breath in, and come on down. Back to plank pose. We'll skip the vinyasa this time and go straight into downward dog. Pick up that left leg and swing it on through. At crescent on the other side. So get yourself steady. On your next big breath in, swing your arms up into crescent and drop in. Make sure your arms are straight, your body is upright, your shoulders are relaxed, your legs are scissoring. You should feel this in your left glute, left quad. You might even feel it in your feet, and certainly in that right hip flexor. One more big breath. Drop your hands. Spin the back foot down first this time, straighten that left leg. Now, I'm facing away from you, but you're also facing away from me. So, we are gonna straighten out, kick into our right hip, reach our left arm as far as we can, keeping our legs active and squeezing into the midline. When you get as far as you can reach, you drop your left arm down, and you try to spin your heart up to the ceiling. Keep your upper body active, make sure it's still awake. When you're ready, right arm comes up, left arm reaches down towards the ground. If you don't have that flexibility, that's okay. Stay up on your hip. As long as your heart's twisting towards the ceiling, that's all that matters. If you have blocks, you can use those too. Now let's take a big inhale and float up till we're in pretty much warrior two. Drop down into warrior two. Pick up your back heel, swing your arms up into crescent, and drop it down. And come back into plank pose, last vinyasa. Breathe in, exhale down, inhale up to upward dog, and tuck your toes, exhale to downward dog. Your body should be feeling nice and warm at this point, and you should be feeling nice and mobile. And take a big breath. From here, come up, feet to your hands, walk them up. And relax and forward fold. Big breath in to flat back. Exhale down to the ground, or calves or thighs. Big breath in, reverse swan dive all the way up. And breathe out. Hands to center. That was excellent. So the last thing that we are going to do is just a couple stretches for you. So we're gonna come down to the ground, to the mat. If you need to lift your butt up, lift it up on blankets or blocks, whatever you need. And so from here, I'll bring my legs out first. So bring your left ankle underneath your right knee, and then your left foot on the left side of your left knee. Big breath in, lift your arm up as high as you can, and drop. You can go elbow to the outside of your knee, or you can just hug your leg in till you feel that stretch in your right glute. Now, try to push your right hip down to the ground because it wants to lift up. Try to push it down to the ground as you're pulling your knee. And breathe. Now you can put your right hand behind you and you can extend the stretch further or stay there. Big breath in, and every time you exhale, you spin your heart. So you're not trying to spin your head, you're trying to spin your heart. And just do that for a couple breaths till you get a little bit further each time. Inhale and release. Let's go on the other side. Grab your right ankle, Bring it underneath your left knee, left ankle over your right knee. Take a big breath in. Lift your spine up and hug your leg to feel that in your glute. And breathe. Now, if you want to start spinning, you may. Big breath in. And spin your heart towards your left. And every time you exhale, you try to twist your heart a little bit further. It's like squeezing the inner cylinder of your body. One more. And unwind. And undo your legs. Get yourself set. And to end, let's do a quick mind, body, soul check. See how you're feeling. Shake out a little bit. Let your upper body go. Let your legs go. Now, come back to what your initial intention was. And from here, as you're remembering your intention, you can do anything at the last moment that would feel really good for you. So one that feels really great for me is when I put my right hand on the ground and I breathe in, swing up my left arm, reach as high as I can, and pull over. That feels great for me. I'm doing that on both sides. Reach. Whatever else you need. Or maybe you're already in crossed legs, laying down, whatever you need to be. If I was not talking to you, I would be laying down as well. So feel free to take your final laying, resting pose, and we're going to come back to our breath. So what was your intention at the beginning of class? What have you accomplished so far this year? What do you want to accomplish this year? You can start thinking about all these different things that excite you, that bring you joy, that bring you peace, that make you determined and focused and motivated. And take a big breath in. Start to notice your breath. Audible, cleansing breath. Because you did great. Just relax. Do a full body scan, starting from the top of your head, the crown. You can even picture a beam of light hitting the top of your head, and that's going to warm your whole body. So drop to your forehead, into your eyes. Let your eyes drop towards the ground or to the back of your head, depending on if you're sitting or laying. Ears relax. Nose relaxes, your jaw releases. Neck, collarbone sinks. Shoulders drop. Your back relaxes, but keeps you upright. You're not afraid of falling. Your stomach relaxes, hips relax, quads sink, hamstrings sink, hips relax and loosen, knees are relaxed, calves, shins, heels all the way through to your toes. Now go back up to your shoulder. Drop down through your arm, through your elbow, all the way to your wrist, your hands, your fingers, fingertips. And you are fully, fully relaxed. Big breath in. Audible exhale. And if you are seated, you can stay seated. If you're lying, come to seated in the most graceful